really thank everyone for being so promptly to be on the lines. Right now, what I want to do is I want to formally welcome everyone to Success Partners International Training Call this evening. And I want to begin by congratulating each and every one of you for just showing up, because we all know that success begins with showing up. And I just appreciate that so much. You made the choice to be on this call with your teammates, and that's what success part. So I'm going to share our signature message this evening. So I am part of a growing team of entrepreneurs with a shared mission to protect and empower 2 million new families and small businesses with Legal Shield's network of law firms and world-class identity theft services. What we do matters, and we're looking for help. It's important for everyone all of us to memorize and personalize this so that we can use the bits and pieces in our conversation when it's important. So now I am going to introduce our speaker, and it's such an honor to turn the Zoom over to her because she is just phenomenal, very dear to my heart. She's been with Legal Shield for over 5 years now. She's an amazing woman, an amazing leader with a great heart. She's an author, and she is also our Ladies of Justice Committee member, and she is just doing a phenomenal job. So it's such an honor to turn the call over to her, Miss Lynn Schuster-Williams. The Zoom is yours.
Thank you so much, Sheila, and I'm so excited that you're our host. What a just beautiful job you did on short notice too. Thank you. Just step right in, make it look like you do it all the time. So phenomenal. Folks, I get to be your story facilitator tonight, and I'm excited for that. We have stories about activity tonight. So it's a little different. You know, a lot of times our stories that we share, we don't add them to the Sunday Team Zoom until there's a result. But we wanted to focus tonight on activity, the story of activity. And sometimes there's a result. Sometimes it's just we want to share what activity our teammates are doing because, you know, when I hear somebody else is doing activity, it gives me ideas about what I can do. And it builds my belief about what I can do, because if they can do it, I can do it. And so I'm going to first go out to Evansville, Indiana, to my good friend Lee Perry to hear about what her activity was like this week. Go ahead, Lee.
Hey, Lynn, Lee Perry, Evansville, Indiana, Fund Development Consultant, and I had a great week focusing on Facebook and LinkedIn and continuing my weekly networking and Ladies of Justice events, and that's what I really want to talk about is my Ladies of Justice event, because it's an open networking event, and the last couple of weeks we'd been meeting in person. Things are starting to open up here. We'd been outside and the weather didn't cooperate this past week, so we were back on Zoom, and I really love doing Zoom meetings because everybody gets heard that way and everyone hears everybody's stories. And from that, I had issued an invitation. Some of the ladies are already members, some are ID Shield members, and the rest of them are not. And I had issued an invitation to the membership Zoom that day and had a couple of them jumped on, one of whom's an ID Shield member. And because of the experience hearing all about the legal plan, she's interested in that as well, because we know it takes multiple exposures for people to commit. So thanks a lot, Lynn, and thanks for your guidance on LOJ. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Lee. That's great to hear. And, you know, I love LOJ was a big part of my week of activity this week too, Lee, and I love hearing about yours because I get ideas about what to do with mine. As a matter of fact, it was listening to Lee Perry talk about her Ladies of Justice monthly regular Zoom that made me start doing that. And so that's phenomenal activity, Lee. Now I want to go to the great state of Texas and hear what Jane Lehman was doing this week. Hi, Jane.
Hey there, Lynn. And my story has to do with activity over a longer time that then feels like it just happened at the blink of an eye, like you didn't realize it. I've been in a networking group for 3 years, and I am consistent in showing up at the networking group. I give my elevator pitch every week. We've all got to have that down. I've had a one-to-one with one of the members. I've even presented to a small group of employees at a hospice where she works. That hospice was then taken over by a national company that has Legal Shield as a benefit. But this week, out of the blue, which was not out of the blue at all, it came over building trust over 3 years. She contacted me and wanted to get the membership with me with the home business supplement added because she's starting another business that she doesn't care to have everybody know about. And that's how you build over time the trust and knowing each other, and that knowing that you're there to help them out. So that was my activity for this week. Back to you.
That's great, Jane. And you know, that consistency of networking is so important. And you know, you never know when it's going to come to fruition. But because you were a good networking partner to her over time, she knew who to go to when she was ready. So congratulations for that, Jane. And now I want to go up to Chicagoland, and let's hear from Jeff and Liz Williams. Jeff, are you there?
Oh.
There we go.
Yes, Lynn, sorry for my technology challenge. It's a great honor. Jeff Williams, Chicago background, entertainment development. And I'll just start off by saying that working in tracking our numbers as we've started to learn over the last several months, it helped us establish our goals and work through those goals and hit those benchmarks. And out of that, it helped us plan our time, and we blocked out time. And so setting time aside, and then we looked at verticals of serviceability companies, and then we modeled those out, and then we scheduled those out. And so we started walking the community again, being respectful with the COVID-19 and mask and things, and being respectful, but getting out into the community again. And that's just my strength. And I love having the relationship face to face. And so as we started knocking doors, and Liz did a great job of planning that out, we spent about 4 hours Thursday, just to kind of give you an idea. And you can't judge a book by its cover, but you also have to have courage to walk through that cover in that book. And so we walked into a place, and I walked up and just started the general conversation like I always do, introducing myself and Legal Shield and the small business plans and things, and just having a chat. And the lady turned to me, she said, "Legal?" And I go, "Yeah." And she turned around, she said, she grabbed a folder and she leaned over and she said, "Can you help me with this?" And I go, "What do you mean? What is it?" She goes, "We're being sued." And she goes, "You've just walked right in at the perfect time. We don't have an attorney. We don't know anything about it. We're terrified. We've been in business 15 years. First time it's ever happened." She says, "What do you have and how can it help?" And so I spent 5-10 minutes with her explaining it. And she said, "Look, my uncle's business, he walked in by just chance. We talked another 5 minutes. They asked me to come back and talk with him Tuesday after the holiday. They want to think about it, look it over." And then, but they're pretty well, when I walked out of there, before I walked out of there, they said, "Look, we're definitely going to do this. We just want to make sure that we have time to talk about it amongst ourselves. So please contact us back." So at the end of the result was that a whole day of that, we ended up with great results. And it looks like, again, having focus, having courage, and then having goals set in front of us and bonuses and trips. And so we're just really excited about the results. So again, it is activity. Don't be afraid. Step out there, and as I used to in football, take it to them. Don't wait on them. Just take it to them. Back to you, Lynn.
That's a great story, Jeff. And I know you and Liz did a fabulous job walking your community, and that's great activity for us all to hear about. And with that, folks, those are our stories for tonight. Thank you for everyone who shared, and I get to turn the Zoom tonight over to the leader of Success Partners, Millionaire Club member several times over, Mr. John Drennan.
Thanks so much, Lynn, and kudos to all of you. Sheila, loved your hosting tonight. As Lynn said, you know, on short notice, you stepped right in. Well, I saw you for years just step in front of rooms of people in Michigan. So I knew that wouldn't be a challenge for you. Great job, Lynn. Great job as always. Lee, thanks for sharing your information. And, you know, I want to touch on Jane's story for a minute, that again, building the relationship. So the woman came to Jane, said, I want to work with you. And that's what a relationship does. And then Jeff made the point of tracking and how tracking is now helping them to set their goals and their plans. So I hope everyone caught that, because sometimes it's that little thing we hear that's a missing piece. I like to use the metaphors of jigsaw puzzles. And sometimes when you're starting something new, like a business, the pieces are all over the table and you got to turn them over and start to organize them in some fashion. As you put the pieces together, you start to see a bigger picture and gradually get where, you know, it gets pretty easy and pretty fast as you're down to only a few pieces. Sometimes you just need one puzzle piece, and that's the key. So again, I hope we're always listening. And I want to say happy 4th of July weekend. I hope it's been a great weekend for each one of you. And so here we are finishing up the weekend and going into the first full week of July. And I want to share my screen here and share something with you. And before I do, let me tell you where this came from. I've been doing some study in the area of wealth creation, including real estate and other things. And I happened to come across some information, and I thought this so applies to Legal Shield. So let me start with something I showed on last Sunday. I believe it was last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And it's this slide, and you probably remember it, but check this out. You know, these are all things that we get exposed to in Legal Shield. Hopefully not in our first day, but over time, we got a lot of things to think about and learn, and that get talked about. Sometimes they're totally irrelevant to us, but we hear them and then we think, well, gee, I need to know more. I need that training, or should I be doing that? And so take a look at this. And I know it gives me a bit of a headache just looking at it. And so I'm wanted to start with that because now I want to talk with you about that thing I was studying today. And it had to do with investments. And I substituted in Legal Shield for investments because it so applies so similarly. So on the left, you got amateur. On the right, you got professional. Well, amateurs diversify. Now, I know when it comes to investments, we hear people say you should diversify to limit your risk. The fact is, professionals specialize, and that's how they limit their risk. Because by specializing, you get so good and you know so much about that area of specialty that you mitigate your risk. Let's talk about Legal Shield. Diversify. We've heard it said, become a full service Legal Shield associate. Now, I've always resisted that, and here's why. Because too many people have felt, well, I've got to be capable of talking to business owners. I got to be capable of opening a group. I've got to get the CDL. I've got to, build a team, and it's too much gottas. And it's not specialized at all. That's diversity. When you're trying to do all the trainings, get all the certifications. We got some people in this company and on this team are super well trained, certified in everything, licensed in every state, but not in Performance Club. Not advancing in rank, not recruiting anybody, overtrained, under-specialized. So be a professional and specialize. Second thing, in investments, amateurs are scattered. Their brother-in-law talks about some new breakthrough in drugs and they're looking to buy that stock. Then someone's talking about this deal up the road and now they're looking at that. And then they're hearing about how someone made a bunch of money online and they're looking into that. And then they're taking this class on real estate. And then they're just scattered all over the place. And that's been me in the past. And that never worked for me. It doesn't work for anybody. Professionals are focused. And I've noticed that over the years, certain people, I'll bring them an opportunity, Legal Shield, and they'll say, that's just outside. It doesn't fit my criteria. I'm like, well, what's your criteria? And they tell me, well, it's single family homes, and that's all I'm going to do. It's all I want to do. But I realize anyone that's ever told me that is having success. So get focused as a professional, focus. And thirdly is new decisions. What do I mean by that? Well, amateurs are always kind of fits what I just said, starting something new. Hey, I'll try this, I'll try this, I'll try this, I'll try this, and nothing's working. They're too diversified, they're too scattered. Versus a professional makes one decision and then repeats that over and over and over. Warren Buffett, he has specialized in a certain approach to buying companies that fit certain criteria. He's always stayed focused on that, and he's got basically one decision. Make sure these companies meet his criteria, and if so, act on it. If not, move on. And I think that lesson can be, gained by anyone. Bill Gates, years ago, made a decision, software. And really a certain kind of software, a consumer software, and has stayed focused on that. So here's where to take this information. Questions to ask ourselves, and you can go ahead and take a photo here. Number one, what is my primary goal? And add on that in Legal Shield. What's your primary goal? And again, you can be part-time here and have a full-time job. You just can't be part-time in 8 things and have a full-time job. So what's your primary goal in Legal Shield? And even that, some people, start to answer that. It has to do with money and rank advancement and how many recruits and how many families they help. But it's all over the map. It's scattered. How about just a goal of a certain rank, a certain income in a certain time frame? Very clear to you and everyone you're around. Secondly, what then should be my primary focus? So if your primary goal is open 25 new groups between now and the end of the year, then what should your primary focus be? Probably talking to business owners. Number one, now there's going to be more than that, but what should the primary focus be? If your goal, Ron Chambers has set the goal of being the #1 recruiter in Success Partners this year. So his primary focus needs to be exposing people to the information. That's got to be his primary focus. And by the way, he's doing a great job with that. And then number 3, what should be my primary skills? So if your goal is open 25 groups, your primary skills should probably be communicating with decision makers. But if your goal is to be the #1 recruiter, it's probably recruiting is the primary skill. And there are sub skills in that skill. Okay, so these are valuable questions to ask if we want to be that person who is specializing, focused, and really only need to have that one decision and then do that, repeat that over and over and over. And so I want to take what I've shared with you and as a segue to talk with someone who I believe did a lot of what I just shared in the month of June. And so let me stop sharing my screen as I introduce this next segment. So many of you know Ms. Dani Goeden out of Colorado. She was actually 1 year ago, folks, we were arriving at French Lick, Indiana for our best summer blast ever. And Dani drove there with her daughter. Many of you would remember her daughter, she's so sweet. And Dani was there. And so on June 20, and Dani, like a lot of associates, she's a director. She's done a lot of great things, been in Performance Club frequently, has a team of many associates, most of who aren't doing much, but a few who are. And so she's been a director. And realizing there was incentive to achieve senior director big time in June, she actually sent me a text, June 24th. And I'm not going to share the whole text, but I want to share a couple things from that. She basically said she crunched some numbers and did some inventory with team to see if she had team members who would commit to a certain amount of premium. And then she put it out to the universe. I'm going to make senior director. And she needed 498 premium points. So basically 500 points in 6 days, because she put that out June 24th. Now, she let me know on Sunday, June 28th, with 2 full days to go, she still needed 498 points. So I want to start by welcoming Dani to the Zoom and start with asking Dani, so can you just talk about making that decision? Like what compelled you to make that decision and then put it in writing and put it out there like you did? So that, Dani Goeden, go ahead, please.
Oh man, can y'all hear me all good? Okay, perfect. I'm at my mom's house, so apologize if the internet's a little slow. Anyway, I honestly, I was helping a teammate who was kind of, hadn't really been producing anything for a while, and all of a sudden he had like 8 prospects, and I was totaling up his prospects and how much these memberships would be, and I was like, oh my gosh, we could, with what I have going in my pipeline and what he had going in his pipeline, I was a shoo-in. I was like, this is totally senior director. And I was like, we can do this. And I was like, we're gonna just go for it. And I was like, all I need is like 100 more premium dollars from like 2 other people in my team, so I don't have to put it all on myself and him. But I was like, we can do it. And I was like, I have 2 people on my team that really have been wanting to get motivated, and I think asking them to do 2 memberships of $25 each, so 50 premium each, would do it. And we did. We ran.
Okay, Dani. So, and by the way, you're coming through great. So thank you. Okay, so you made the decision based on, it sounds like you got some encouragement talking with, and I believe the associate's name is Anthony.
Yes.
And with his 8 prospects, you were looking at a minimum of a couple hundred premium points potential. And so that gave you some excitement. Then you crunched the numbers and saw that we can do this. And you put it out to me, and I want everyone to hear that. She put herself on the line, and it wasn't just, hey, I'm thinking about this. She said, I'm going for this. I can do this. And that certainly got my attention. So what were the next steps, Dani? So you made the commitment, you had met with Anthony, you talked to some other associates. So now that you're kind of saying, I'm doing this on the 24th of June, then what do you remember? What'd you start doing?
I put my head down and I went to work. I was contacting everybody. I was contacting all the people on Anthony's list. I was contacting my associate Phil and my associate Stella, who's also on the line, seeing what they needed help with, where I could help them. I was just going for it. And I was talking to people and I was getting them into Prospect. And I'd been talking to a lot of people. I know I'd sent you my tracker throughout the month, but it wasn't until the end of the month that people were actually getting into Prospect and actually watching the videos. And then I had a really cool thing happen where on the last day of the month, I'm just sitting there and I'm working. I'm like, oh, we got a few more. And my associate Pablo calls me and goes, hey, I have a small business membership, and he's never sold a single membership in the year plus that he's been an associate. I was just like, where did this come from? This is amazing. So it was just a lot of focus.
So listen to the word she just used, focus. And now, and you heard what she said, this 89 points came out of nowhere. So after she let me know with 2 days to go, she still needed 498. She started texting me, listen to this. Then on Monday, she added 38 plus 25 plus Stella, who's on the Zoom. And Stella, kudos to you, added 25. Then on Tuesday, Dani added 39, and 89 came from that, what she said was an inactive associate. Now you wonder, where did that come from? And I know I let Dani know for years I've seen when people make committed, focused goals, that kind of stuff tends to happen. It's like poof, out of nowhere. And it's not out of nowhere. It's the universe listening. It goes back to what I talked about. When we specialize and focus and make one decision and then do it over and over, things like that happen because you're attracting it. And by the way, here's something for your notes. Focus is what allows us to see and receive things we otherwise would not see and receive. So then Dani let me know she was stuck at 244 points. So she had cut it and more than cut it in half. But then all of a sudden she lets me know she picked up 29 points, 39 points, 25 points, I think again from Stella, 50 points with 101 to go. And this is Tuesday late in the day. And then I actually was in bed. She's 2 hours behind me. With 20 minutes left, she still needed 46 points. Now, I want to ask you, and by the way, she fell short. But in my mind, she didn't feel short at all. After that run and coming that close. So Dani, I want to ask you, what were the results for you? And what did you learn as a result? And before she answers, folks, we're going to go a few minutes over tonight, but I wanted to have you get all of this. So Dani, go ahead. What were your results? What did you learn?
Well, I ended up being $89 short because 39 of my dollars that I got in turned out to be a reinstatement that I had no idea. He was within 4 months of canceling, so that was a bummer. But that was still really cool. Because it's still a learning lesson, you know. I fell short anyway. And but what I learned is that I have it in me. I have it in my team to be a senior director, to go executive director in a few months. And I have it in my team to be consistent at it, not just hit it and then go back. I see what we have going. I see the momentum and I see the potential. And now I've got it, you know, like I'm just going for it. So, you know, John, you called me a couple of days into the month and said, now what? And I said, well, now I go and I hit PC Pro in the first 10 days and get one new recruit. And then I start working with the team after that and getting all our stuff and not doing it on the last day of the month.
You know, and Dani, and I love what you said there. You know, Einstein said a mind expanded will never go back. And by making that commitment and doing what she did, Dani now knows she can hit senior director because, again, she started that with 6 days left in the month. And based on what happened, she knows. And knowing is more powerful than believing. No, believing's powerful. Knowing is everything. So she knows. And so the learning there was so substantial. And I want to really highlight what she did because, quite honestly, it's unusual. I've done it. I've seen many associates do it, but I've seen many more not do it. And what I mean by that is put a stake in the ground, make a clear, focused decision with the time frame, and just go for it. And she just kept going. Now, she did let me know at one point, I feel stuck. My response to that was, I know the feeling. I've been there many times. Step outside, take a deep breath, take a short break, and get right back at it. And that's what she did. And so, and I just want to look at something we talked about.
Yeah. Can I share one more thing real quick?
Yeah. And I want to go back to you to share anything else and how's it going so far in July? So back
For sure.
to you.
So I kind of want to share, just so you all know, I missed Performance Club in May. I was 41 months consecutive, and then I dropped the ball in May. Not entirely sure what happened. My focus wasn't there. I'm not sure. And then I went out in June, and I didn't hit the points actually by the half of the month to do my reboot even. So I was feeling a little discouraged. I'm not gonna lie, about halfway through June, and was like, well, I guess I start over with Performance Club. And that was really like a breaking point. But then stuff started just happening because I was like, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm just going to start over. I'm just going to do it. And that's when everything started going. And that's when I texted John. I'm like, I got to text him and tell him this, because otherwise I'm not going to do it. I have to have somebody holding me accountable, whether he's texting me every day or not. And so I did it, and I went for it with 6 days left to go. And I ended up with $410 premium personally. So for me, I ended up, because the worst thing that people can say to you is no. So I emailed corporate and was like, hey, I know I missed the reboot, but I did $410 in premium. Could you help me out and put me back on Performance Club? And they said yes. So, I mean, the worst they could have said is no, and I started over, right? Like, this, it made me feel really good. Now, as far as this month goes, I already have a $39 business plan in. I have somebody just reached out to me who I prospected over 10 years ago when I first got into the business, but her father was an attorney. Well, he just retired and is no longer able to practice. And she reached out to me and said, I really need your membership. We have a special needs son. We need this. And so I'm going to go sit down with her, and it'll be a full $55 family plan for that.
Okay, and you
A
got
lot
this.
of other stuff working too.
And you got this week to hit that goal of PC Pro by the 10th and get the, extra money and so on. And so a couple things, folks, and then we'll start to wrap up. Number one, Dani, read the chats that are coming through.
I've seen them. Thank you, everybody.
Secondly, that PC reboot. Now, what Dani said, she was very discouraged, and I know she was. She sent me texts to that effect. I knew she was very discouraged, but what'd she do with it? Made a commitment, did the numbers, felt some energy, and locked into it. And because she went out and did it, 400 plus points, Legal Shield responded to that. She basically did reboot, even though she didn't get the necessary points by the 15th of June. She poured it on. And look what Legal Shield did. They said, we want to acknowledge this. So she's right back in PC. That never would have happened if she'd have just stayed in feeling sorry for herself mode. So Dani, kudos to you. Also, Dani, I know Anthony, who you thought you might see 200 or 300 points from, I believe you've gotten no points from him. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, the 200 or 300 points that we had in the pipeline didn't even come through from him. So everything came from me, Stella, and Pablo. So yeah. that was pretty intense.
So you got Anthony's stuff lined up for this month, because I know it's still there. It just didn't happen, and that's the way it works. So again, understand, folks, she went for it, didn't even get the 200 to 300 to 400 points she thought she might get from Anthony, yet still came so close and got her PC reinstated. And I know with 400 plus points, had a great income month. So I know this has gone a little bit long, but Dani, I just want to say on behalf of everyone watching, just kudos to you for showing the way. And I know your story tonight impacted others. So with that, Lynn, I'll go to you to go ahead and wrap this up. So back to Lynn Schuster-Williams. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, John, and congratulations, Dani. I'm just grinning from ear to ear. It's like, yay, we're all with you. That's right. People are turning their cameras on and clapping for Dani. It's just an incredible, incredible story. We're all so proud of you. So, folks, our announcements, a really big one. So a lot of times we get to this point in the Sunday Team Zoom and I say kind of the same stuff. not going to say the same thing. So keep that pen handy. July 11th. Mark it down, mark it on your calendar, put a big circle around it, because corporate is doing something that's kind of the summer convention, on a mini convention on Saturday, July 11th from noon to 4 p.m. Eastern. There are going to be some big announcements, and you not only want to make sure it's on your calendar, but you want to make sure you're communicating it and promoting it to your team. So save the date, tell your team, Saturday, July 11th, noon to 4 Eastern. And of course, now's the time to stay as plugged in as ever. You know, the newsletter came out today. It's in your email. The leadership show was broadcast for the first time tonight at 7 and tomorrow at 11 Eastern. The Team Ascent Facebook group is so essential to stay plugged into. And of course, if you're doing Ladies of Justice, the Ladies of Justice Facebook group and the Legal Shield Associate Success Facebook group are all great resources too. And then upcoming Zooms this week, we have them from our team at 12:30 p.m. Eastern each day, 11:30 Central, and that's a membership overview. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, we have a membership and opportunity overview Monday through Friday from your Success Partners team. Those are such incredible resources. Be sure that you tune in to hear from Ron Chambers, Timmer Halligan, John Drennan, Lynette McKinley, and myself on those presentations. And then we have our training. We have our Wednesday training team Zoom. That's just an incredible training you don't want to miss. And we have trainings happening Monday night from LOJ. And of course, corporate has Zooms happening every day too. So plug in, make sure you know what's available to invite people to. And then we have our stretch call Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. All of our team events are on the successpartnerscalendar.com. That's successpartnerscalendar.com. And you will be able to go there and find not only what's scheduled for this week, but the recordings, like the recording of tonight, which is also being broadcast to the Team Ascent Facebook group live. And with that, folks, one more time, Saturday, July 11th, noon to 4 Eastern is a 4-hour summer mini convention, National Super Saturday, whatever you want to call it. Corporate's putting it on, and it's going to be remarkable with big announcements. So be there, put it on your calendar, and get it out to your team. And with that, folks, I'm Lynn Schuessler-Williams, and I am grateful you were all on tonight, grateful to see your faces and see you're all doing well. Let's go make it the best week we ever had in Legal Shield. Thanks to everybody, Sheila Bird for hosting, John Drennan, Lee, Jane, Jeff, Danny. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.